I think it's normal it's normal conversation for us to talk about wanting to build generational wealth, but we don't know nothing about it. Sometimes we may want to do things like this, but we may be too lazy to go get the information. It may be too overwhelming to go find the information.
Yeah, because like, where do I start?
We have a definitely different demographics of generations, so that's important too. So you can learn from an older generation and then trickle on down. So
because y'all got the real wisdom for real.
When I was growing up, honestly, it was a lot of Black family businesses. Okay, and I'm sure you've heard of the Black Wall Street, that phrase. Those were Black family businesses.
Yeah, we have information overload. Y'all had lack of information. So when I got into the mix, I was forced into the mix. My mom said that if you don't learn this skill set, I'm kicking you out of the house. So it was like a forceful, and we ended up liking it. We learned at the time it was trading, forex trading to be more specific, and from there we got really, really good at it. How I kind of got into the mix 100%, because I wasn't like fully committed at the time, but like how I fully got into the mix is when a lot of people kept asking us how exactly did you get your family involved. You said that it's not generational wealth isn't always financial. So there's two types of ways of family business, right? So you have the legal side, which I like to also include financial, and then you have the family side, right? So the one we were referring to with core values is the family side. So what we love to do as a family business is duplicate what the government is doing. They're the best when it comes to building generational wealth. I don't think anyone ever thinks about that. They have a system to elect more people. They have a system to remove people. They have a system for laws. They have systems for conflict resolutions. All these things that they've implemented, all we do is mimic what they're doing and put it into our family business. So if they have a constitution, we have a family constitution. If they have legislation, or the three branches of government, right, the legislation, judicial, and executive, then we have that within our family. Right. So in a way that works is the executive would be called the family council, the judicial would be the council of elders, or you could say the advisory council, whichever one you feel like using, and then you have the legislative is the family assembly. So
you need to figure out where your people come from as to why you're acting the way you're acting. You know, and people don't realize this stuff is passed down through DNA. Trauma is passed down through DNA. How you act. So you have to figure out and decide, one, who do I want to be? Where my people are from, what's my plan for the future, and how do I execute and have a skill set in addition to, so I know how I'm going to proceed to build my wealth while I'm working on my wealth. Okay, this is going to take care of my household stuff, but this is going to build my wealth. You got to make that decision on what it is that you're going to do. Family business matters, you know, our family seal, our crest. I mean, you guys are always branded down on everything. And
you should be.
Where's the book?
Oh, right here.
You know, like even we don't go anywhere without our book. You know, the Black Rockefellers. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we want to teach. You know, you have that opportunity to build the wealth, and Marcus said it so eloquently. And I need to say, a lot of people are not going to do sales. Okay. It's imperative in this time that we live in, because everything is based on a number. Everything is based on your credit score. And from whether you're getting car insurance to whether if you have a job, if you get direct deposit, if you are opening up a checking account, if you're getting health insurance, everything is based on credit. So at this point, you got to start there.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to, that's your foundation, in all honesty, because everything is based on credit.
You may have to observe if he has first, which one of the three, an employee mindset, an entrepreneur, or a business owner.
Is there anything you wish we would have asked or touched on that we didn't get to touch on?
There are three types of trust that you need for a family. There are 508c1a, faith-based organizational trusts. That's a very tax way of saying it. So I'm going to say it in a regular term, which is just a ministry trust. Okay? So you want to have a ministry trust, which, to explain what that means is, you know, back in the medieval times, you had the Catholic churches, and you know how they always love to divide politics and science with religion, right? What the ministry trust does is that you are pretty much creating your family as its own church, which means that you have different tax law or tax advantages. That's the word I was looking for. Tax advantages than if you were a regular consumer or a person that's just out here winging it, right? And so you want to have the ministry trust. The second thing is you want to have the family trust, and I'm speaking in the order, right? Second thing you want to have is the family trust, which is what it sounds like, which is what everyone knows it to be. You have put all your assets into the family trust, pass it down to the next generation. And what answers your question was, how does the trust correlate with new family coming into the picture? Is, let's say, I'm gonna use us as an example. She has a family trust for the family, but when I start having a family, I need my own family trust. Okay, but I'm gonna be a successor of her trust, which means that when she expires, then from there I would then get access to that trust, right? So it's always like assets are building on top of each other. Then the third thing is the business trust, which is what it sounds like. It's for the business, right? So you would have all three of these in place within the family to make sure that you're as protected as possible. But here's the benefit of having irrevocable trust and all the trust that we stated. And I'm going to speed through it. If you have 100,000 in your case, you made that year. What's great about these trusts is they have something called 100% distribution. So that means it's called a pass-through entity, which means that you can pass through that 100,000 from that LLC through the business trust to the family trust. Now the family trust, family got expenses, right? Yeah. So let's say you got like 50,000 in expenses, right? Now that 100,000 went to 50,000, right? Now, but guess what? You have a nonprofit, which is, guess what? In a nonprofit, you can donate bare minimum 5% per year, maximum 60%, depending if it's a public charity. Yeah. Right. And if it's a private charity, I think it's 30%. But let's go off the 60% because most people know about that, right? That 50,000, if you donate 60%, what's 60% of 50,000? 30,000. This is why she's the human calculator. 30,000 goes to, you can donate that to the charity or the ministry trust. Now you're left with $30,000 that you just need to pay taxes on instead of 100. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that 30,000 in that profit, that nonprofit, now you can give grants out. Okay. To yourself or to other people or whatever it is. Does that make sense? Yes. So like the thing that people, this is why every billionaire has a charity. That makes sense. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, like they give themselves grants. They give other people grants. They give back to other charities. They do other things because it came from their own income.
That makes sense.
And the trust could pay your bill.
That's the way that could benefit.